you can do is just tell the truth and trust in the American people that over time they're going to know what the truth is.
Yes, it is time for the truth. Right here, right now. This is the Conservative Syndicate. Real conservative talk from real conservatives. With your host, John Matthews.
The latter-day prophet.
Baying against the hypocrisies of our time.
And Joe Akos.
You want answers. I want the truth. You can't handle the truth.
The Conservative Syndicate is comprised of some of the most informed pundits and activists available today. Together, we seek to tear down the imaginary wall of separation between church and state through education, information, and engagement on the religion of politics and the politics of religion. And now, your hosts on the globally syndicated Conservative Syndicate, John Matthews and Joe Akos.
And how are we doing out there all across this great republic and around the world? It is that time. It's time once again for the Conservative Syndicate, real conservative talk from real conservatives. I'm your host, John Matthews, along with Joe Akos, who's back from yesterday, and I guess feeling a little bit better, and I'm glad to have him back on board here with us today. We've got a couple things. You know, we've been kind of hammering this voter fraud thing since Monday, and we're going to continue it because the outrage from the left tells me that there's some validity to it. That's how you gauge what's actually going on in the world of liberals. Whatever it is they're outraged about, whatever it is they're ranting and raving about, is what they're trying to hide and protect. And there's several other things that are going on right now. All of a sudden, all the truth is coming out right now. All the truth is coming out. All the scandals, everything else. Yeah, nobody's denying it anymore. It's all coming out. The media is starting to report on it. And why is that? Because we got less than 2 weeks away from the election. And that means it'll have very little impact in terms of the voter turnout. You know, they've already got all these voters out there, early voters, all that stuff out there going on. And then once after the election's over, should Hillary Clinton win, well, now they just go into, hey, that's old news. You know, you guys knew about this when you elected her. That's how they're going to put that. So anyway, we got some things going on. You might have heard about the Megyn Kelly, Newt Gingrich conflict last night. Just one of the best. Actually, I think one of the best pieces of media I've heard in a long, long time, and long overdue. Somebody needs to put that bimbo in her place. If you talk about bimbo eruptions, Megyn Kelly is that woman, okay? And we're going to talk about that today. We got Don Dix coming on from Act for America in the second hour. He normally comes on Tuesday, but he'll be on today. And having said that, let me get my partner in crime on there. How you doing today, Joe?
Okay, John. That's pretty funny. Bimbo eruption with Megyn Kelly. That sounds better than the what's she call herself? The Kelly Files. We hear at the Kelly Files like she's Bill O'Reilly calls himself the Factor. I call him something else, but it can't be said in family type oriented shows.
Well, you know, I was thinking my wife last night. This first time, you know, my wife doesn't really watch Fox News. She just watches. She likes the mainstream stuff, CBS, ABC, because she's not really into that stuff, and she watches it mostly. She wants to know what the weather is, you know, that kind of thing. And we were listening to the Newt Gingrich, Megyn Kelly thing last night, and she heard it. She's sitting there listening. She goes, "Who is this woman?" And I go, "Well, that's Megyn Kelly." And she goes, "Wow, what an idiot." Now, I got to tell you something. For my wife to call somebody an idiot, I mean, you have to be an idiot. Okay? She doesn't throw names around at people. You know, she doesn't. She's not one of these people that I've learned over the 27 years we've been married. When she makes a judgment call, you know, we meet somebody and on the way home she'll say, that person's not right. And I'm like, well, you just met them. No, not right. And lo and behold, they're not right. You know, so it was like, you know, what is she ranting about? And I said, well, she's a protector of women. Okay, that's it. She's the self-appointed patron saint of feminism, and the only one better at it than her is probably Rachel Maddow. Okay, so she goes, wow. And she actually was cheering when Gingrich was firing back on her.
Wow.
You know, and I'm telling you, my wife isn't like this. She isn't. She doesn't. She's very very non-judgmental. Not like me. I mean, when she makes a judgment, she has scoped something out, or she's seen or heard something that triggers something in her, and she'll say something. That doesn't seem right, or that, and she's like, I just got a kick out of it. She's like, when Gingrich fired back at her a couple times there, and she went, yeah. I'm like, okay. So we'll leave it on this channel for a little while and get through this. So anyway, we're going to talk about that a little bit today. But I want to kind of kick the conversation off today where we left yesterday. The voter fraud stuff that's been coming down the pipe here. And just the complete denial by anybody on the left that it actually exists. And so it's like, okay, my thought is, you tell me if I'm wrong, Joe, if somebody keeps telling you that something is going on and you're denying or you just don't believe it's going on, don't you at some point in time just say, believe whatever you want? Okay, fine.
No, that makes you Megyn Kelly of ARC.
Yeah, well, but this, I mean, like this voter fraud thing, it's like the way these people on the left are trying to distract, deflect, undermine, any idea. I mean, we live in a country, 300 million plus people. I think 330 million people. We have state elections run by 51 states.
51?
Yeah, not 57, 51.
How many states do we have, John?
Oh, we have 51, right?
No, 50, John. We've had 50 since 1960.
I thought, I thought Hawaii was our 51st. Okay.
Unless you're counting the District of Columbia or something.
Yeah, it could be. It could be.
50 states.
Well, I don't know. Maybe I've thrown Puerto Rico and Guam in the mix somewhere there. I don't know, but okay. All right,
I'd like to throw them somewhere. I'd like to throw them right the hell out. Puerto Rico, get off.
I get it.
Off the pot. Become a state or not. See, I'm tired of having them hang on.
Yeah, well, when you're supposed to be a territory and then you need to be bailed out, like Puerto Rico. Yeah, give me a break. All right, I stand corrected. So okay, you can put me in the Barack Obama doesn't know the number of states in the union category. I thought for sure it was 51. I thought Hawaii was the 51st state. I don't know where that came from. Anyway, maybe I was.
Okay, dude, it's really all right.
Yeah, okay. Anyway, all the states. We got a bunch of states, okay? And within those states, I would imagine some of the bigger states, like out here in California, we have just under 70 districts, okay? I think in Florida, you probably got close to the same. I know you got around 60 districts, don't you?
Yeah, I think nationwide are like 3,000 counties or something like that. Pretty close to that, if I recall. So
okay.
That's across the entire nation, about 3,000 counties. And that's where and that's really where the elections are driven at the county level.
Okay, now Indiana, I believe, has 55 counties being checked out right now. I think they have. I'm looking at trying to find the numbers here. I think they have 60 some odd districts, and 55 of them are reporting issues with voter registration rolls. And so the Indiana State Police have stepped in and have started investigating. All right, now they're telling us almost 14,000 Marin County voters have already voted. All right. But and haven't reported any problems, all right? No bad registrations, no fraud, and the lines are moving quickly. But at the same time, Police Superintendent Doug Carter said detectives are finding evidence of voter registration fraud and forgery. Okay, he says the investigation covers in Marion and 55 other counties. And he says, I think there are going to be people that get to the voting booth and won't be able to vote, because their voter registration numbers have been, information has been doctored or changed, and they're not able to locate what the source is. How did this happen?
Okay, well, I would think that's probably a little bit vague on that. They're probably going to be allowed to vote. They're just not going to be able to vote in the same way everybody else would vote. They'd probably do something called like a provisional ballot.
Yeah.
Where we'll take your vote, but you're going to have to come back down to the office and we'll validate who you are, and then we'll count your vote then. If you're not who you are, then you can go, really what you should go is to jail, because it is a felony.
Well, see, here's my contention here, and I'll say this before the break here, and then we'll come back here. Okay, in Indiana, they have voter ID laws.
Yes.
Okay, you have to get a ballot, you have to provide a driver's license or other government-issued identification. And the information has to match the voter registration records. The investigation has found instances of existing records being changed and new voter registrations for people and addresses that don't exist. Now, one of two things is happening here. This information is being changed so that it will match some newly issued false ID. Okay, you know, if they got out here in California, DMV, hey, you want to vote? You want to register to vote? Oh, you're not legal? That's okay. Throw it in there anyway, you know. And so something's happening here to undermine the voter ID aspect of this. That's my contention, that things have been changed because there's either maybe it is the idea that somebody comes up and votes, with an ID, and if the information doesn't match, that person can't vote. That we don't know what the split is. How many of these are Republicans? How many are independents? How many are Democrats? We just know that it has to do with there's been a massive change, last minute stuff. People going in and changing names and birth dates for the purpose of whoever shows up at the polls doesn't have ID or doesn't have the proper ID. Okay, and so that tells me, all right, somebody's trying to undermine the voter ID law. Who benefits from a lack of voter ID?
Let's see. Who could that possibly be?
Yeah, it would have to be the other side, okay? The dark side. Anyway, hey, we got to go to break. I'm a little bit over here. We'll get back onto this once we get back here. Joe's got some good stuff for you today, too. And we're going to talk a little bit about the Megyn Kelly, Newt Gingrich confrontation last night. One of the best pieces of media I've seen in quite a while. Stay with us right here at the Conservative Syndicate. Don't go away. A healthy attitude toward politics will always be relentlessly cynical. TheConservativeSyndicate.net, doing our part to keep America healthy.
When our water heater broke down last month, it was a nightmare. It took 5 hours for the plumber to show up, and he charged us a couple of $100 just to come out. Then it cost another $1,800 to put in the new water heater. By the time it was all said and done, I felt like I'd been taken. But what else could I do?
The smartest thing you can do is get a home warranty from American Residential Warranty. Their home warranties pay to repair or replace all your major appliances when they break, and they will break, and at the worst possible time. Call American Residential Warranty right now for free information on home warranties starting at just pennies a day. Don't wait for your refrigerator to stop running or your ceiling fans to stop turning. Call American Residential Warranty right now. Ask how you can save up to 50% on washer and dryer coverage. Just call 1-800-790-5960. That's 1-800-790-5960. Again, 1-800-790-5960. Call now.
Limited time offer, 24-month commitment and credit qualification require cancellation fee, auto pay, and paperless billing, and other restrictions apply. If you can't see the difference, why pay the difference? Switch to Dish for the best deal in entertainment. Only Dish brings you the best in entertainment for less than $20 a month. Cut the cable and don't get directed. Switch to Dish because at just $19.99, Dish saves you every time you turn on the TV. It's so simple. The same channels cost less with Dish. So since you can't see the difference, don't pay the difference. Switch to Dish for the best deal in entertainment. Get premium movie channels free for 3 months, starting at just $19.99. Dish saves you every time you turn on the TV. Call now to save with Dish. Dial 1-800-600-1645. That's 1-800-600-1645. The same channels for less than $20 a month. Dish. Call 1-800-600-1645 for details.
Hey folks, if you're like me, you don't place a whole lot of trust in today's media for the real truth and facts regarding the volatile world of finance and politics. When I want the real scoop on money, I go to the most trusted source I know, my good friend and colleague, Bob Cardoso. Bob is a noted expert with a PhD in international finance who airs his nationally known, globally syndicated show, Robert Cardoso Live Daily, Monday through Friday, 3 to 5 p.m. Pacific Time. With Bob, you get the right information at the right time from someone who knows his business and can help you make the right decisions concerning yours. Again, Bob airs daily, Monday through Friday, 3 to 5 p.m. Pacific Time. Visit his website at robertcardosalive.com for information regarding stations and topics. That's robertcardosalive.com. Check Bob out. You'll be glad you did.
Attention taxpayers. If you've received a notice from the IRS or state, do not ignore it. It's also a big mistake to try and handle your tax problem on your own. If you owe back taxes, it's a fact that the government has the power to take everything you own, including your home, business, wages, savings, and your freedom. But here's the good news. There's a special toll-free tax hotline set up especially for you. This tax hotline will tell you about new programs that are geared to help you dramatically settle, reduce, or eliminate what you owe. But you have to call now. Take down this number or put it in your cell phone. But call 866-761-0959. 1-866-761-0959. When you call, you get free information on how you can reduce or eliminate back taxes, including penalties and interest. You can also be helped if you have unfiled returns, a tax lien, wage garnishment, bank levy, or if you've been entered into a payment plan but can't make the payments. Don't make the big mistake in thinking you can ignore or handle your tax problem on your own. You can stop the collection process immediately. Call this special tax hotline today for free info at 1-866-761-0959. That's 1-866-761-0959. 1-866-761-0959.
Don't get your panties all in a bunch.
The Conservative Syndicate.net, exposing weapons of mass distraction. All right, hey, we're back, and this is the Conservative Syndicate, conservative talk from real conservatives. And I got to tell you, I'm sorry, I missed my cue on the commercial there. I was just going back. I knew this was going to happen as soon as I started posting this stuff out on social media this morning. All my good friends out there who are on the other side of the political asylum, all trying to downplay the importance of this stuff. Okay, the one of the things is that, oh yeah, there's some questionable voter registrations out of how many million? Very unextraordinary. Okay, extraordinary accusations need extraordinary evidence. Okay, so I said, okay, well, how about 837,163 voters updated their addresses with the Postal Service, but the Indiana Secretary of State has not updated their addresses in the rolls? How about 4,556 duplicate records for 2,278 individuals? How about 3,478 voters whose date of birth make them older than 106? 2,552 older than 110? How about 1,485 voters who have voter registration dates before 1910, indicating they're over 124 years old, okay? How about 3,000 records with no date of birth? 2,856 voters do not have voter registration date. 2,466 duplicate records for 1,233 individual voters. 31 records with dates of birth that signify the voters were under the age of 17. Okay, just a few. Okay, and here's the kicker, guys. The organization that set this whole investigation into motion is a liberal think tank. Yeah, see, when I first heard this, we were out here. I was out here promoting this thing and talking about it like, yeah, you know, the Republicans have really dug in their heels and they're finding somebody's doing their job. It turns out to be the other side is the ones out there doing their job. They're the ones out there trying to figure out what the registration rolls look like and what the voter count is. Why would that be? You know, maybe if we come up with a 837,000 gap in the voting turnout, maybe we found the answer here.
I mean, you know, it's like, well, you know, it's like, why are they so afraid of voter registration being accurate? What would they be afraid of?
Well, the point being is that, you know, whatever's going on right now has been going on for a while, and it's not just Indiana. I think the people that are involved in this Indiana thing are saying that it's without a doubt voter fraud to some degree is happening all over the country. Okay, to some degree.
Well, so it makes it okay because it's happening everywhere.
Yeah. But anyway, I'm just saying, my point is this, in terms of this. I guess the issue for me is that the way the left is arguing, the way the left is trying to discount and discredit and undermine what's going on, is the implication that massive voter fraud requires that we have a massive number of people participating willfully and knowingly in the fraud. Now, just think about that for a minute. That means somehow somebody has had to go out and organize millions of people to intentionally go to the polls and fraudulently submit a ballot. All right, now.
Let's see. I think I heard a report today where Barack Obama and his buddies got, like, I don't know, what was it, close to 800,000 illegal aliens to do something?
Well, how about in 2008 when Hillary Clinton's campaign was accusing Barack Obama of busing people into the Indiana primary of all places? This is another thing I'm getting a kick out of. Indiana's telling us, oh, we've never had really any issues with voter fraud. In 2008, Hillary Clinton's out there screaming Barack Obama's busing in blacks into Indiana so they could take away all the superdelegates at the caucuses. Okay, so I mean, we can go farther back. The Kennedy thing. We know Kennedy was elected through voter fraud. It would certainly not to the degree that we're talking about today, but the idea that they were able to sway 2 electoral votes in Chicago, of all places, gee, what a coincidence, that gave him the Electoral College, or that we found voter fraud down in Texas, Lyndon Johnson's home state.
No way, buddy. No way. No, that was no way. That's all mythical stuff. That never really happened. No. Oh, gee. Mr. Daley up there in Chicago had his buddies scouring cemeteries and morgues in Chicago trying to get some names so they could go ahead and vote.
Yeah. So my big deal is if voter fraud is such a minor thing, then why not make the effort just to verify it, just so that everybody will have peace? If it's such a small thing, it should be able to be verified very simply, very easily.
Well, yeah, but they're going to call it voter suppression, though, John. Here's my thing with it: we hear about this every 3 years and 10 months.
Yeah, and it's come out to this degree because of the fact that we also have email leaks that are telling us that the Democrats have been engaged in manipulating ballots and polls and everything else. They want us to really buy into this idea that Hillary Clinton's just got this whole thing locked up, and we just need to put our tail between our legs and just accept the fact that we want a democratic socialist republic.
Yeah, I mean that's you say Hillary Clinton was how about Fox Business says it's already wrapped up. I'm looking at a thing here that was put out yesterday. Fox Business has Hillary out at 270 at 9:01 p.m. last night. It's like, really? I'm like, wow, we just started early voting here a couple days ago, but they've got it over. Yeah, and why is Fox the way Fox is right now? It's because of reports like that.
Well, Fox News is a whole different issue. One of those things that have come out in this election process that makes us now know for a fact that Fox News is anything but fair and balanced. All right. And I think, to me, what the most telling thing was, Chris Wallace was on an interview last week after the debate, a couple of days after the debate. And I forget where he was interviewing. I think he was on one of the other Fox shows or something. It might have been, I know where it was. Waterman's World, I think. I don't know. Anyway, he was on some other Fox show there and talking about his place as a moderator. And he was livid that people view Fox News as a conservative station.
Well, he doesn't have to worry about that anymore.
No. He was saying, we are not a conservative network. Okay, and I'm thinking, well, what's the big deal? He went on to say something along the lines of, that's what really irritates me is that people think we're some kind of Republican operative network.
Yeah, well, you don't have to worry about that. But it would be really nice to have one of these major networks to be honest. That would be just unbelievably odd.
Well, it would almost make us wonder if we had entered into a parallel universe if that ever happens.
I think we, as somebody said yesterday, I think we are in a parallel. There is a parallel universe out there.
Yeah, two different types of parallels here. Now, Joe, you had I don't know if is this the place we want to put the Reince Priebus thing?
Sure, we can talk about that. We got just enough time to do that.
Okay.
See, today, I was looking at a post from the state of Florida's national committee man to the Republican Party, and so he's out there with the RNC, and there was a scheduled conference call today with that Reince Priebus hooked up, and with Kellyanne Conway, and I just thought this little summary of what was said here was pretty interesting, and it definitely goes to show what you see on the networks is this is a little bit different, and this is coming right from the RNC and those kind of guys. So this is from Kellyanne Conway, as Trump's campaign manager. It was on the call, and she stated, we wouldn't be doing what we are doing in the campaign without the help of the RNC. She went on to say, we are benefiting tremendously from the ground game work the RNC, Republican National Committee, has been doing over the last 3 years. Again, she adds, relationships with the RNC are airtight and working perfectly. Reince Priebus, who organized the call, also said it was unprecedented when referring to the coordination between the RNC and the presidential campaign. And then they talked about this is what was going on in the call itself in the battleground states like North Carolina. In 2012, 2 weeks out from the election, Democrat requests for absentee ballots exceeded Republican requests by 300,000 requests. Now, in 2016, this year, Republican requests for absentee ballots actually exceed Democrat requests. A swing of over 300,000. In Florida Republican absentee votes returned exceed Democrat absentee votes returned by 9% so far. So really what it means is the enthusiasm for the Republican ticket far exceeds that of Democrats. And it's born out of the latest Bloomberg poll in Florida showing that Trump now leads Clinton by a few percentage points. So with 2 weeks ago, and I'm looking at the poll right here because there was another poll, and this is funny how this is working out. But this poll says Hillary Clinton led Florida polls for several days, but Donald Trump is now taking the lead with a must-win Sunshine State. Of course, it is must-win. He doesn't win Florida, he's not winning this election. According to Bloomberg Politics poll released, that's today, Trump leads Clinton 45 to 43 in a four-way race. And Trump and Clinton head-to-head matchup, Trump leads by a point. So it's very close. It's within the statistical margin of error. And so but I can go to another poll right here and it says, you look at another one, it says Clinton's leading right now. And so it's like, okay, so it doesn't really matter. I mean, these polls, I think, and that's what a lot of these polls, and I think we have emails that show that, these polls are being oversampled and skewed in such a way to be more favorable for Mrs. Clinton. And I think they're also using some older polling models, too. I think a lot of them are using the models that worked for Barack Obama in 2008 and 2012. And I don't think that's really going to work out this time. I think this might be a different landscape, and I think they're either ignoring it or just don't want to, or just don't think it's going to be so. So with that said, John, I know we're coming up on a break here.
Yeah, we are coming up, and the see that it matches what we were saying, where we were talking about earlier in the week, the idea that some of the more respectable polling outfits like Rasmussen and Gallup have this thing virtually even. I think, and even the LA Times, which there's very telling for you. The LA Times had Trump up by 1. A couple weeks ago. I don't know what they're showing today, but the point is that you can't just have some of these other more respectable polls showing 1 to 2 points or dead even within the margin of error, and then you come out with ABC and NBC, and all of a sudden everything is in double digits the other way. It just, I mean, that defies all logic. Of course, liberals don't have the logic, so I can see why they would go ahead and try to do something like that. We're going to go to a break. When we come back, I think we're going to get more into this. I really want to talk about this voter fraud thing here because I really think it's important. I really think it's relevant, and I really think it's happening. Okay, so stay with us right here at the Conservative Syndicate. Don't go away.
City Talk Radio. Ever wonder how the credit card companies make their money? Well, think about this. If you owe $25,000 on 5 different credit cards and you make your minimum payments every month, here's what it's going to cost you. Are you sitting down? You'll shell out over $13,000 in additional interest, and it's going to take over 13 years to pay off your original $25,000 balance. That's how they make money. Now it's your turn to fight back by calling the Debt Solutions Network. We'll work on your behalf to reduce your debt. We specialize in credit cards, retail store cards, and medical bills. We promise we can and will reduce your debt. Call right now for a free 15-minute debt analysis. 800-709-4392. 800-709-4392. 800-709-4392. 800-709-4392.
Extend your life with Extendovite.
When I had a heart attack at 42, I was not sure what the future held. But a year later, the doctors could find nothing wrong with me and took me off all my medication. What did I do? I took a herbal mixture of garlic, cayenne, and a few other herbs mixed in liquid form. I now call this Extendovite. I would have never believed that a few simple herbs could actually change my life like they did. Now it's your turn to see what the powers of garlic and cayenne can do for you. For only $69.95 plus shipping and handling for a 2-month supply of either capsules or liquid, you too can begin on your path to better health. For more information, call 1-877-928-8822. That's 1-877-928-8822. Or visit our website at heartdrop.com.
Extend your life with Extendovite.
I've owned my company for 14 years now, and I can tell you that payroll is a 4-letter word. I hate doing it. It eats up hours I don't have, and it costs me money I could be saving. But my accountant's too expensive, and I'm not sure who to call, but I know I need help.
We're Paychex, and we take all the hassles out of small business payroll. We save you time and money. It's easy. Call, fax, or give us your payroll information securely online, and we take care of the rest. We calculate the correct taxes, manage payments and direct deposits. We even send out your checks. Payroll doesn't need to be a 4-letter word anymore. We're so sure that we can save you time and money that we'll give you a month's payroll free. Just for calling 877-663-3830. Get 1 month's payroll for free. Call Paychex right now. 877-663-3830. That's 877-663-3830.
Hey, I don't back anybody unless I believe in them. And I do believe in the value of investing in gold and silver. And the company I trust to buy my gold and silver from is Swiss America. I've been working with them for nearly a decade. I trust them, and you can too. Swiss America will help you sort through and find the best options available when you're considering investing in gold and silver coins. Listen, for over 30 years, Swiss America has been offering Americans what they want in their investments: safety, liquidity, quality, reliability, and a potential profit. Gold and silver have a place in every investor's portfolio. So, why not let Swiss America help you diversify your investment portfolio now? Call now for free information. 800-978-3907, 800-978-3907, 800-978-3907, 800-978-3907.
If you've got joint pain, let me ask you a question. Would you like a high-quality knee, back, shoulder, or ankle brace at little or no cost? Now, just in case your reception isn't great, let me ask you again. Would you like a pain-relieving knee, back, shoulder, or ankle brace at little or no cost? Well, if you have Medicare insurance, you could qualify for these pain-relieving braces at little or no cost. And these are high-quality braces. They are very comfortable, and they've helped thousands relieve their pain. Now, I'd like you to imagine going on vacation, playing with your grandkids, just living your life again without pain. The Mobility Hotline is a referral service that connects folks with Medicare coverage and other insurance to accredited companies offering pain-relieving braces at little or no cost. And don't you worry about the Medicare paperwork. They'll handle it all for you. And they'll deliver your braces for free. Call the Mobility Hotline now. The call's free. 1-800-557-6150. 1-800-557-6150. 1-800-557-6150.
Get your panties all in a bunch.
The Conservative Syndicate.net exposing weapons of mass distraction. All right, hey, we're back, and you're listening to the Conservative Syndicate, Real Conservative Talk from Real Conservatives. I'm your host, John Matthews, along with Joe Hakos. And listen, I think we need to pick up where we left off at least to kind of put things into context as to where we're going the rest of the show here. We're talking about a conference call that took place between what's her name? Kellyanne Conway, Trump's campaign manager, and Reince Priebus. Boy, that's a strange name. You know, it took me a month to learn that name. It's just one of those names, you know. It's like, who names their son Reince? I guess somebody with the last name Priebus, you know. Okay, they're the same people that would name some of their kid Josh Ernest, I guess, you know. Anyway, so you got the con, Joe. You want to continue with this?
Well, let's see. Let's talk a little bit about it. Let me pull this up here. So you're talking about basically some voter issues here going on, and we're talking about what's going on. So I can only give you what I see here. We have in Florida, okay? Because I don't even know if they allow people to vote in California anymore, actually. So, but as of Wednesday, today, this morning, this is Wednesday, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, okay. So as of today, Wednesday morning, there were 1,431,808 votes mailed in. That vote by mail ballots have already been returned for the November general election. And there have been 552,000 people have voted early across the state. Now it's entirely across the state, and early votes only been going on for 2 days. So you got 500,000 people who have voted early already. Now, the tallies are obviously they're posted, and you can go find the stuff out at the Division of Elections website here in Florida. Registered Republicans lead the votes by mail ballots to Democrats. They lead the 603,000 to 564,000. All right, but the Democrats hold an edge in the early voting. 240,000 to 216,000, and a total of 310,000 of other party or no party, so no party affiliation or Green Party or Blue Party or Communist Party or whatever, have returned the ballots to the local supervisors of elections office or voted early. And that's from the state's website for voter statistics, and that's the Division of Elections. That's what they call it out here, the Division of Elections. Now, also, this is kind of interesting, too, though. The state has verified that there are 94,000 new voter registrations. All right? So that's, and if you want the exact number, that's as of this morning now. That's 93,917 voters registration applications from the recent extended registration period, and they extended it because of that crazy hurricane we had out here. And so they took it to court, and they said, no, people just didn't have enough time to go register to vote, so we want to extend it. So they extended it out by about a week, I think it is. So that's what they've got right now. And it said the number left to verify has fallen to 26,000. So that's all that's left out there. So I think there's quite a bit. People seem to be fairly excited about getting out there to vote right now, especially in Florida, and I'm pretty sure probably in some other states it's the same way. And it was just kind of interesting to see what's going on there. I mean, but you can go from one site to another site and get a completely just exact polar opposite kind of bent on what's right. Happening in this election.
Yeah, and then that's going to play great into where I want to go with this. But I want to share one thing what's going on out here in California. Okay, California right now, as of over the weekend, I heard this over the weekend, we have 18.2 million registered voters out here in California, and the number of people, the increase in registration this year, actually California had an increase of nearly 500,000. They're saying close to 500,000 or a little bit over 500,000 registered out here for the first time. Now, that could mean any number of things out here. We've got the DMV out here now. The law passed this year that says that, anybody getting a driver's license can register to vote. So I'm sure that's where a hunk of this stuff came from. And if that's the case, then probably a lot of those people on the rolls are illegals. Okay, well, out here in California, though, they count them, It doesn't make any difference. We don't have people that know how to read chads or anything else for that matter. So anything could happen out here. But the point being is that 18.2 million registered voters in California with a population of 33.5 million. Now, accounting for how many of those people here in California are legal or illegal, I don't know how that number breaks down, but you're talking about just a little bit over half of California aren't registered at all.
Yeah,
okay? Now, when you look in 2012 out here in California, they only had 16% voter turnout here in California in 2012. That's the lowest they've had since, I think it was 1916. I don't even know if California was a state in 1916. Okay.
Yes, we're a state 1916. Come on now.
So, and 39% of the electorate out here don't even know who Kamala Harris is or Loretta Sanchez, the two women that are running for Senate out here to replace Barbara Boxer. So, that's the other end of the spectrum. We've got the idiots out here. This is idiocracy. California has become an idiocracy. And so, let's see how it plays out here. But it plays into what I want to do here now before we...
Give me a second here. I want to talk about a little, just here before we go to the break. This is just enough time to kind of put this in here. Now, we talked about all these people that are voting right now, right? Especially here in Florida. But I'm looking at this thing from Nate Silver for the 538, that website, and talking about undecided voters. That we're 2 weeks away, less than 2 weeks away from the election, and he's saying that there's undecided voters out there, where they might be. He's talking about people that have already made up their mind. In Florida, for example, 46.2% have already made up their mind for Clinton, and 42.8% have made up their mind for Trump. And that leaves he's got here 10.9% are third party or undecided. Okay, that's just Florida. 11.9% in North Carolina, undecided. 12.2% undecided in Georgia. 13.2% undecided in Pennsylvania. 13.7% undecided in Ohio. There's a reason why I went to those particular states. Let's go. Arizona, 15.9%. Here's one just mind-boggling to me. In Utah, he says there are 43.2% of the people are undecided 2 weeks out from the national election.
Wow. Well, yeah, you know why Utah. They can't decide whether to go with Mitt Romney or not.
They're probably, or they might be thinking, hey, are we having the Olympics here again?
Yeah, well, I don't know. You know what I think might happen with Mitt Romney didn't get elected in 2012 because a lot of Christians didn't vote for him because he was Mormon. I'm wondering if there's a bunch of Mormons in Utah saying we're not going to vote for either one of them because they're not even Mormon or Christian.
Or they're like, I can't make up my mind. There's so many choices.
Yeah, I know. Yeah, I remember listening to Dennis Miller one time making a comment about what he called the consumer, consumer index, consumer comfort index or something like that. And the way he put it, he goes, like, how do you measure that? Does somebody get up one morning and say, I need to go to Walmart and get some socks, but I'm just not confident enough whether it's going to happen or not. Yeah. It's like, this kind of stuff. I don't know. But one thing I do know, and you know this too, Joe, and I'm sure many of you others out there, and this is one of the narratives that are being presented by the Trump campaign, is that when you look at the turnout to rallies and stuff like that, if that is any gauge, maybe let's just hope that 15% out there in Florida, whatever the number you gave me here, what was it, 9%, 11%, whatever in Florida, undecided?
Yeah, 10.9, 11%.
Okay, let's hope that these are the people showing up at the Trump rallies. It's just like, maybe, I just gotta, I don't know, or maybe they're all waiting to be invited to Frank Lunt's next support group. or focus group, that kind of thing.
I don't know. I just think all these people that show up to these rallies. I mean, he just had a massive rally last night in Tallahassee over here in Florida, the state capital. Bunch of people there. Thousands upon thousands of people. Well over 5,000 people. Again, and it's just like these. And you just don't show up 15 minutes before the guy shows up. You're there for hours.
Well, I know. Yeah, I know. Over the weekend, I was watching Fox News. No, it was. Maybe it was Monday, because Shep Smith, what's his name? Shepard Smith, okay?
Yeah, flaming lib, yes. Actually,
and they were getting ready to cover the Trump rally. And they had the reporter out there. I forget who the guy was, but he's the guy who's been kind of tooling around, following everybody around.
Campaign Carl, yeah.
Yeah, and he's standing out in the parking lot. And as you see him, he's talking about the fact, well, he says, I've been here all morning. We have, as of right now, we got an estimate of somewhere around 10,000 people have shown up. And he said, and I'll look behind me. And you look behind him, and there's this trail of cars that looks like the scene out of If You Build It, It Will Come, Field of Dreams.
Yeah.
And he says these people have driven hours to get here. They're waiting hours to get into the parking lot to go to this rally. You can't tell me people are just doing that because they want to go to a freak show.
Yeah, or get a free hat.
Yeah, no, you can order the hat online, for crying out loud.
Yeah, exactly.
Anyway, hey, we got to go to break. When we come back. I want to get into, I don't know if we'll do it this hour or not, but I want to talk about this confrontation between Megyn Kelly and Newt Gingrich because it plays into a lot of what we're just talking about here. The parallel universes or the alternate universes, I think was the phrase that Newt Gingrich used, and very accurate. Stay with us right here at the Conservative Syndicate. Don't go away. There is an old saying, children should be seen but not heard. At no time is this more apparent than when politicians speak. TheConservativeSyndicate.net, the adults in the room. Hey folks, if you're like me, you don't place a whole lot of trust in today's media for the real truth and facts regarding the volatile world of finance and politics. When I want the real scoop on money, I go to the most trusted source I know, my good friend and colleague, Bob Cardoso. Bob is a noted expert with a PhD in international finance who airs his nationally known, globally syndicated show, Robert Cardoso Live Daily, Monday through Friday, 3 to 5 p.m. Pacific Time. With Bob, you get the right information at the right time from someone who knows his business and can help you make the right decisions concerning yours. Again, Bob airs daily, Monday through Friday, 3 to 5 p.m. Pacific Time. Visit his website at robertcardosolive.com for information regarding stations and topics. That's robertcardosolive.com. Check Bob out. You'll be glad you did. History affirms a vibrant civil society thrives on freedom of conscience, religion, and choice. Any society absent these qualities stifles individual responsibility and accountability, thus enslaving its people by denying them their potential for goodness, creativity, and altruism. To that extent, oppression, coercion, and totalitarianism are multiplied exponentially. To counter such outcomes, the American Freedom Alliance was formed. The AFA is a nonpartisan, non-aligned movement which promotes, defends, and upholds Western values and ideals. The Alliance strives to build an international coalition of citizens of the West who together promote and protect moral values, democracy, and freedom. To find out more and become part of this valuable asset in the preservation of freedom and all its rewards, contact us at AmericanFreedomAlliance.org. That's AmericanFreedomAlliance.org. Let freedom ring.
Get your panties all in a bunch.
The ConservativeSyndicate.net, exposing weapons of mass distraction. Okay, hey, we're back. The Conservative Syndicate, real conservative talk from real conservatives. I'm your host, John Matthews, along with Joe Hakos. Yeah, along the line here, since we're talking about this, about early voting and online voting, and we talked yesterday about the girl that was had called in. I told you I was on the way back from VA yesterday morning, and a girl called in to Rush Limbaugh to explain that she had gone down and voted, early voting down in Texas, and when she went to review her ballot, Trump and Pence's name disappeared from the ballot completely. She said she voted a straight Republican ticket, And she said, I marked off Trump and Pence, and when I went back to review, his name was gone completely. And Limbaugh was saying, well, wait a minute, what we're hearing is that the votes are being switched, that people are choosing Trump and they're changing over to Clinton-Kane. And she goes, no, in mine, it just completely disappeared. Oh, okay, so the thing I found remarkable about it was our good liberal friends over at Snopes, one of these great nonpartisan, objective fact-checking organizations.
Fact checkers.
Fact checkers, probably the ones that do the work for Hillary Clinton. Within 24 hours after reporting of the early voting snafus down there in Texas, Snopes is out there trying to debunk it, telling, no, it's only a couple of voters, not a big deal, nothing to worry about. And it turns out to be, no, there was more than just a couple of voters. And I went on Zero Hedge and looked at their site, and they had, I think, at least 7 or 8 people had posted out on social media the same thing, that they had noticed that their votes had changed. The point being is, when all this stuff starts happening, we're 2 weeks out here. And this is why I don't like early voting. This is why I don't like electronic machines. And we really do need paper ballots, because at least you got a trail. Okay? And you don't, if it's too difficult for you to show up on election day, why do we give you 2 weeks in advance to go out and vote? What's the big deal about that? I mean, is it just because of the day? Why do people, I can't figure this out, Joe. Why do people need early voting?
I can understand if you were serving your nation and you had to be overseas, or have a deployment, whatever, you were stationed overseas and you needed to go ahead and do an absentee ballot, that kind of thing. But early voting, I don't get as well. It's like, okay, it's a law, and the employers have to let you out of work to go vote. I mean, so it is a law. So I as I said before, I've mentioned it before. I think it should just, all right, it's a national holiday. You don't have to work. You'll get paid. It's just like every other. You get paid to be off work for Christmas, and you get paid to be off work for the 4th of July and that kind of thing. Make it a national holiday. That way, there's no excuse, and see if we get anybody to show up at the polls doing that. But the integrity of your vote is being attacked, basically.
Right.
It is being undermined left and right. And it's like, why? Why is it being undermined? I don't care if it's one. That individual's vote was just canceled out by some nefarious means. And that should never happen. The integrity of our voting system is the number one thing we should worry about, other than maybe protection of the entire nation.
Yeah, I agree, because I just can't figure out, is like, well, if election day is a bad day to vote, then why don't we change election day? I mean,
what are you going to do? You're going to put it on Sunday, and then, oh my goodness, Sunday in November. Oh, that's football season. The NFL is not going to like that. And then you put it on Saturday. Can't do that because everybody's in love with college football. And in early November, hell, you keep on going. There'll be World Series games going on in the first part of November. I mean. No, it's Tuesday. Fine, keep it a Tuesday. That's fine. Just make it so just make it a holiday then. But damn it, make sure that the votes are what the votes are.
Yeah. And besides, there is no Tuesday night football, so we don't have to worry about that. I just can't figure out what the thinking is that we have to get people out early because we can't get them there on a specific day. I can't get my head around that. It has to be something to do with being able to manipulate the turnout, and it could, it has to be it. And I don't know what's gained by that, except that we can sit here and say we can go back and forth in these alternate universes as to whether these early votes are going to turn one person or another, or elect one person or the other. I mean, we don't. Here's the point here. We don't even know that this massive increase in the number of ballots is going to benefit one party or the other. Just because we have a lot of Republicans registering doesn't necessarily mean that it's going to be those are votes for Trump. In the same camp, just because there are certain states where a massive number of people are registering Democrat, I don't know that necessarily means that all those votes are going to go for Hillary Clinton. I mean, we could be finding ourselves here, Joe, in a sense where each one is canceling out the other for all we know.
Absolutely, and that's my point with the voter fraud thing. It's like, okay, you have all these votes that cancel out actual, no kidding, valid votes with people that shouldn't be voting. That's what I'm talking. The integrity of your vote is under attack. Then,
yeah, and the leftist narrative, isn't that how the leftist narrative talks about this disenfranchisement? See, this is the argument. They're talking about voter fraud in a different aspect. Disenfranchised voters, people that can't get IDs, don't have sufficient IDs, can't get IDs, and all that. So that's the bigger problem. And then we're saying, well, there's not a mass of millions of people somehow getting a chain email from everybody saying, okay, guys, this is how we're going to fraud. It's that there are operatives and activists and organizations that are out there taking data and manipulating it or trying to manipulate it, going out and pulling absentee ballots out of university dumpsters, things like that.
We see that from the Project Veritas videos the other day, where we have the operatives that are actually planning to. No, we can't bust them in because that's too suspicious. We'll get rent-a-cars.
Yeah,
and rent-a-cars instead.
And we know this is going on. We got the latest. Thank God for WikiLeaks. Everybody thinks this guy's a jerk. He might be a jerk, but thank God he's a jerk that's revealing some stuff that we need to know. That pedestrians out there, actually, they have a 36-page handbook they were sending out saying, this is how you do it. This is how you manipulate. This is how you skew polls to make it look like we're winning. This is how you manipulate ballots in the voting and everything else. And in the videos, my God, just watching the videos, you should have the same outrage as we had with the Planned Parenthood stuff. People should be going off their rockers over this stuff. And you can't, this isn't, you can't claim that these videos with the voter fraud and the inciting of riots at Trump rallies and all that stuff, this stuff can't be made up. It can't be mass-produced. It can't be edited.
Well, have you heard anybody in the Clinton campaign denying that it's true?
No, because the argument, and then we, as you pointed out, I think it was on Monday, Mike Creamer, who's a major operative, was fired, and another guy had to step down.
Yeah.
Or vice versa. The other guy was fired.
Source. Yeah. It's the source that's bad. It's like,
no,
it's the content that's bad.
And the argument that's being presented by the left in terms of this WikiLeaks stuff, I think is just beyond nonsensical and comedic, is that, well, these were hacked.
Yeah,
these emails were hacked. So all of a sudden we're supposed to assume that the legitimacy of them is irrelevant because somebody stole them.
Yeah, okay. It's like I said, the jewels are stolen. You don't want them back because they have no value now.
Yeah. We got to go to a break here. We're at the top of the hour here. We'll get back here next hour. I'm going to get into the Megyn Kelly thing. Don Dix from Act for America will be with us. Stay with us right here at the Conservative Syndicate. Don't go away.
Stripping money from the U.S. military budget to pour into government school systems is simply exacerbating two major problems. Hello, I'm Ron Edwards. On today's page from the Edwards Notebook, government schools in America have for years received enough money to ensure that more money is spent per student throughout the Republic than almost any other nation on earth. Yet, overall, America ranks 30th in the world in education quality, proving that spending the most money does not ensure the highest quality. Especially since the actual goal of American government school educators is to indoctrinate American students into being glorified, socially conscious globalists who are more in league with the United Nations, open borders, and climate change dogma than reading, writing, arithmetic, and true American history. In addition, the stripping away of needed funding from what has been the best military in the world has produced massive shortages in needed supplies at every level. Thus, the military is now at best heavily strained in the effort to protect America and maintain stability throughout the world. Hopefully, the scenario of double trouble is soon corrected through a return to providential guidance and an appreciation for America the Beautiful. I'm Ron Edwards.
A healthy attitude toward politics will always be relentlessly cynical. theconservativesyndicate.net, doing our part to keep America healthy.
Prices are for base buildings only. May not be available in some areas. Attention business owners, do you want a stimulus package that really works? Before you spend thousands of dollars more than you should on your next building project, listen to this. General Steel has a stimulus package designed to help you save as much as half the cost of conventional construction on your next building. As much as half. That's right, General Steel can save you thousands of dollars with a pre-engineered steel building designed for your business or church. How about a 50 by 100 foot building for under $30,000? So don't pay thousands more than you should without calling General Steel first and save as much as half the cost and time of conventional construction. With the projected demand for steel in Japan and China, prices may be skyrocketing.
877-927-3360. 877-927-3360. 877-927-3360. Term life insurance. It can be a powerful way to protect your assets and your family. You work hard to earn and save your money to build a nest egg for the future. Don't let it get wiped out because you didn't plan ahead. Take the time now and make a small investment in $500,000 or more in quality term life insurance. Call the Term Lifeline and let us shop the best companies to give you the lowest rates. We specialize in policies of $500,000 and above. Ask about some of our 10 and 20-year fixed rate plans with guaranteed rates. Call the Term Lifeline right now for your free insurance quote. 800-870-3609. 800-870-3609. You owe it to yourself to protect your family and your assets. Make term life insurance part of that plan. Call the Term Lifeline right now. 800-870-3609. 800-870-3609.
Hey folks, if you're like me, you don't place a whole lot of trust in today's media for the real truth and facts regarding the volatile world of finance and politics. When I want the real scoop on money, I go to the most trusted source I know, my good friend and colleague, Bob Cardosa. Bob is a noted expert with a PhD in international finance who airs his nationally known, globally syndicated show, Robert Cardosa Live Daily, Monday through Friday, 3 to 5 p.m. Pacific Time. With Bob, you get the right information at the right time from someone who knows his business and can help you make the right decisions concerning yours. Again, Bob airs daily, Monday through Friday, 3 to 5 p.m. Pacific Time. Visit his website at robertcardosalive.com for information regarding stations and topics. That's robertcardosalive.com. Check Bob out. You'll be glad you did.
Read something recently worth thinking about. It's the soldier, not the campus organizer, who's given us freedom to demonstrate. It's the soldier, not the reporter, who's given us freedom of the press. It's the soldier, not the poet, who's given us freedom of speech. It's the soldier who serves under the flag, who defends the protesters' right to burn the flag. Isn't it time now to demonstrate that we support our troops? Were it not for the brave, there'd be no land of the free.
Fred Thompson's message was brought to you by citizensunited.org.
Hey, all you can do is just tell the truth and trust in the American people that over time they're going to know what the truth is.
Yes, it is time for the truth. Right here, right now. This is the Conservative Syndicate. Real conservative talk from real conservatives. With your host, John Matthews.
It's a latter-day prophet.
Baying against the hypocrisies of our time.
And Joe Hakos.
You want answers. I want the truth. You can't handle the truth.
The Conservative Syndicate is comprised of some of the most informed pundits and activists available today. Together, we seek to tear down the imaginary wall, a separation between church and state through education, information, and engagement on the religion of politics and the politics of religion. And now, your hosts on the globally syndicated Conservative Syndicate, John Matthews and Joe Hakos.
Hey, we're back, and you're listening to the Conservative Syndicate, Hour 2, coming to you live coast to coast and around the world, nationally acclaimed globally syndicated, where it's live, prime time, somewhere, all the time, somewhere. We're glad to have you with us. Hour 2 here, and what I wanted, let's just kind of sum up what we talk about here, so that when we get Mr. Don Dix on here with us, supposed to be coming on in just a few minutes here, we can really kind of start with a clean slate here. We're talking about the I think the reality, if nothing else, the reality that there may be a reality, that there is voter fraud going on to some degree that can affect the outcome of an election. And we're not just talking about hanging chads in 2000, okay? That was another argument I heard earlier in the week, last week, that the contesting of the election by Al Gore is completely different than Donald Trump claiming that the election was rigged. And the main reason was because Gore's contesting of the election took place after the votes had been counted. And it was due to a recount, a mandatory recount, and Gore just didn't like the mandatory recount. But the argument that was presented by Clinton in the debate was that by Donald Trump claiming that the election is rigged, and again, he wasn't just talking about voter fraud, but the fact that the election is rigged is setting a precedent where we're trying to discourage people from showing up at the polls, or we're going to question the results because we don't like the results, that kind of thing. So they've taken it and twisted it into, as they always do, into some kind of perverted narrative that benefits them. And Trump, with all his audacious ideas and everything else, I just don't think the guy's that quick on his feet. There are things I've heard these people say. I can tell you in a heartbeat, I could come back and go boom and just kill that argument. He just doesn't have that because I think he just takes things too personally, and so he tries to respond in personal, like it's a personal thing, rather than consider the source of where this stuff is coming from.
Yeah, exactly. I don't think what would have been so bad if he just came out there with reams and reams and stacks of all the crap that we already know about Hillary Clinton just from this election cycle. That way he could just look. Let me refer to it right here. He could have had notes. Look, what about this? This is what we're talking about. What's she going to do? Refute it? No. Their accusations and just innuendo. It's just it's just personal destruction again. Politics of personal destruction. Absolutely. That's all they have. Has Hillary Clinton ever said what she plans on doing other than what we've gotten through the emails, i.e., she wants to have a hemispheric open borders and free trade between us? Hemispheric what? We're talking about North and South America. If we didn't have the emails, we wouldn't know any of her policy positions.
Well, yeah, exactly. We'd be duped just like everybody was duped with Obama. The agent of change, the pragmatic centralist, and with a clean slate that nobody really knew what he was going to do. But he was a great uniter because he was a great orator. Okay,
he was going to be something different. He was going to remember we were supposed to have like 5 days to look at a bill before it was passed. Really, when did that happen in his administration?
I can't remember a time that happened because everything else was most of his administration has been through executive order, so we haven't even really seen the bills or legislation. Yeah,
I don't want us to see anything because it's been the most corrupt administration ever. Why do you think Benghazi happened to begin with? Because they were running guns to Syria, for crying out loud.
Yeah. Exactly. Yeah, this whole thing, and it's Frank Lund said something. He's become a real operative for the establishment, but he said something I thought was kind of relevant. Is that when we've got all these emails now, I don't know. I really do just kind of hope that if Trump just starts pounding this email stuff, if he starts pounding the fact that Obamacare is just going to just strangle everybody this year, that this thing is in its death row right now, if he could do that and quit worrying about who's accusing him of something, because as Luntz said, what's happening is we all know that there's a ton of stuff that could take Hillary Clinton down, but because Trump makes so much noise, everybody pays attention to the noise, and that's because that's what the media wants, because that's what their ratings are based on.
Yeah, well, it's not just Frank Luntz saying that, too.
Yeah,
the people was saying that as well. Okay?
People want to know one thing about Obamacare. Is it going to work? Is it going to benefit me? And okay, no, yes. That's all they don't want to know all the details and repealing it and replacing it and all that stuff. They just want to know what the hell's going on here. Are my premiums going up or not? That kind of thing.
How much money is it going to cost me? And it's going to cost me more money? They said it wasn't supposed to cost me more money. I heard him. He said it before. It came right out of his lips, right out of his mouth. He lied to us. Remember the biggest lie of what was it, 2015?
Yeah. Well, we know that it was by design. This was all designed to do exactly what it's been doing, so that we end up with what? A public option. Hillary Clinton's already talking about. We need a public option. That's how we're going to fix what's wrong. It's a great plan, but it's screwed up. Bill Clinton.
Well, she said that yesterday. There's some parts about it I want to fix. Yeah, the part about the government mandating you to have it, that's the part you want to keep.
Yeah.
She's been talking about it since 1993.
Yeah, exactly. Hey, look, we got to go to our break here. When we come back, we should have Don Dix with us. Stay with us right here at the Conservative Syndicate. Right now, time for Moments of Madness. Stay on Moments of Madness. There have been several strategies employed by the elitists, operatives, and media lapdogs to stop Donald Trump. Charges he is of bad temperament, lacks the ability to articulate conservative principles, is unqualified to lead our armed forces or govern the most diverse society on the face of the earth because of his language, racist, sexist, and xenophobic views have fallen short in bringing about his political demise. The elitists that for decades have greased America's political machine, undetoured and unopposed, find themselves at a loss as to how to eradicate the Trump phenomenon. And that's just the Republicans. On the other side of the political asylum are attempts to shame deplorable Trump supporters by claiming they are proponents of white privilege, while deploring white soccer moms their little girls may learn about promiscuity from someone other than Beyonce and Planned Parenthood, and inciting minority demographics to stand together against the man that has made millions at their expense and cares not about their socioeconomic plight. Though these strategies and tactics have been successful to some degree in hindering Trump's scorched earth trek through the establishment rank and file, the best the elitists and their minions have to show is a single-digit lead in the polls, if the polls are even accurate. However, the disapproval numbers remain virtually even between the angry Donald Trump and the corrupt, politically two-faced, pathological liar Hillary Clinton. So, as the latest all-too-well-rehearsed tactic to discredit their opponent with charges of sexual exploitation and assault with yet another bimbo eruption begin to subside, the establishment has one arrow left in their quiver. That is voter suppression. The left has always benefited from a low voter turnout. Having offered the electorate the lesser of two evils in the last 6 election cycles, many on the right simply do not care enough to make it to the polls. The only new variable this time around is the GOP has joined them in their plot. Trump's accusation the system is rigged has squelched the discontentment that has kept so many from voting for decades or not at all. His charges of disenfranchisement of the silent majority ring true, as we have learned the DNC plotted to make sure Bernie Sanders would not be credited with exposing the Democrat Party as socialist disguised as capitalists. The preservation of the establishment required one of their own be handed the baton. Evidence of voter fraud is beginning to pile up like Hillary's email leaks, proof of collusion with Wall Street, and corruption between almost all of the federal government's agencies, including the FBI and CIA. Here's the madness. The brilliance in the left's strategy to suppress voter turnout this time around is by suggesting Donald Trump's assertion of collusion between establishment elites and the media to sequester the silent majority is actually a tactic by Trump to deprive real Americans from exercising their right to vote. This time, they have accomplices. Consider from the outset of the primary season, many operatives and leaders of the GOP have voiced such disdain for Trump, they first said they couldn't honor their pledge to support the Republican nominee. When that didn't rein Trump in, they began to endorse Clinton as a better, more qualified leader. The rift between rhinos and conservatives has been exposed to its core. It isn't about ideology or principles. It's about self-preservation and profit. Another schism has also ruptured the surface of pretend politics. the schism that has existed secretly in the catacombs of the Christian church for decades. Megachurch leaders claiming the evangelical brand have suddenly found self-righteous indignation that a heathen like Donald Trump is being supported by their flocks. They are telling us to vote for Trump is to vote against all Christians claim to be. They even lament not voting for Mitt Romney, who they now say was a man of character, forgetting completely he is also a Mormon, and as we now know, part of the establishment that supports Clinton over his own purported beliefs. Never mind, the only other viable alternative is to vote for Hillary Clinton, who also violates doctrine and values, or a third-party candidate that will result in basically throwing our vote away, serving to put Clinton in the White House. Never mind the fact that had they begun to voice moral concerns back when Hillary's husband was running, we might not be facing judgment from the God they claim to honor and follow. The truth is, real Christians are in a catch-22. As I stated, many Christians abstained for voting for Romney in 2012 due to his religion. I was not one of them. I voted for Romney for the very reasons the Christian elites now laud him. And I remember being criticized by other Christians like myself for placing Romney's values over our faith. Voter suppression in that election gave us another Obama term. Now Christians are being asked once again to ignore stopping the evil of the Obama legacy by refusing to support somebody with virtually no ties to Judeo-Christian beliefs, at least in practice. It's Mitt Romney all over again. So I'm guessing the issue is Christians need to be excluded from voting at all. For many of today's Christian leaders, that's exactly what they want, a return to secular separation of church and state. Unfortunately, this time around, if Trump loses, we won't have to worry about religion and politics because we will be fed to the lions. Let's just hope leaders of the church are first to go. This is John Matthews for Moments of Madness.
Don't get your panties all in a bunch.
The Conservative Syndicate.net, exposing weapons of mass distraction. All right, hey, we're back. We're back. This is the Conservative Syndicate, real conservative talk from real conservatives. I'm your host, John Matthews, along with Joe Hakos, and we've got with us doing his weekly segment a day late, but never a dollar short, Don Dix from Act for America. How you doing this afternoon, Don?
Well, I'm doing great, and I'll be doing better if I know that you're hearing me okay.
Okay, yeah, we're hearing you just fine.
I hear you just
wonderful.
Fine.
Yeah, good. Sometimes things just fall in order the way they're supposed to. It just
every once in a while we get blessed. Yes.
Well, we spent the whole first hour talking about voter fraud and the different narratives that are being floated out there. And along with that, some of the numbers that are coming out on some of the early voting and stuff. And it's leading us into the conversation that I want to have right now that you're on here. The discourse that took place last night between Megyn Kelly and Newt Gingrich, I thought was just some of the best media that I've heard in quite a while coming out of any of the network channels. And I'm sure that Megyn Kelly, because I've listened to her enough to know, tonight she'll try some kind of rebuttal. She'll come on her show tonight and try to defend herself to some, I think she alluded to the fact that Newt Gingrich had an anger management problem. Okay. I think he responded most appropriate. Yeah, you deal with yours too, that kind of thing. Because I really think Megyn Kelly's had it out for Donald Trump since that first debate where he made comments about her feminine hygiene, or however that I'm trying to think of the right words to say without saying it. But
I think you did good.
And we all know what I'm saying here. So I think she's really had it out for him. And I just want to get your initial impression here. Well, we have some of the clips here. I broke it down in the clips. It's about an 8-minute interview, but I broke it down to about 5 minutes for relevancy and get your take on some of these things. So first, what was your first take on the conversation?
My jaw dropped when she used Donald Trump and sexual predator in the same sentence. I can't even begin to describe how appalled I was that she would do that because, sexual predator applies more to Bill Clinton, and she couldn't even bring herself, when challenged by Newt Gingrich, to use Bill Clinton and sexual predator in the same sentence. The other thing is, Newt Gingrich's response, his frustration, anger, if you want to call it that, is emblematic of what we're all feeling with the media as it relates to this election. Donald Trump has come in like a wrecking ball, destroying everything that is establishment, that is Washington, D.C., that is the media, which is supposed to be the fourth estate, that clearly has been outed, especially in the last month, by Donald Trump as being a shill, not just for the left, not just for Democrats, not just for their causes, but a shill for the Hillary Clinton campaign. It's appalling. It's out in the open now. And so what we're beginning to feel and see on the part of the media and the establishment is they're out of control trying to spin this back into the narrative that, Donald Trump bad, everything else good. And Donald Trump is a symptom of the frustration that we're all feeling. Yeah, he may not be the perfect candidate, but in my opinion, he's the perfect wrecking ball. You needed someone with a little bit of taint on them who got exposed by the video that was released of him on Entertainment Tonight to be able to call out the hypocrisy of the left and of the media. The idea that Michelle Obama can criticize Donald Trump and at the same time say Beyonce is the role model for her children who, and then they invite they have Jay-Z, who is, the lyrics of his songs are degrees worse than anything that Trump has ever said. It's all out there now between the WikiLeaks, James O'Keefe's videos, the challenges the media has had to be able to maintain the narrative in the midst of shows like yours and the thousands of others that citizens in this country are putting together to get their story and their frustration out. This to me is the beginning of the end for mainstream media.
Oh, do you really think it's going to go that well? I think, what I think is it's the beginning of the end of the GOP. And in doing so, expound on that. I hadn't given any thought to the idea that the media may actually be the ones that take the brunt end of all this.
Well, look at, let's just pick apart, the James O'Keefe videos for a second. The defense on the part of the left has been James O'Keefe, a criminal. James O'Keefe, a disgraced and journalist. He has exposed a guy by the name of Robert Kramer, who's a legitimate criminal. You never hear the media running through exactly what Robert Kramer's background is, how he's a real criminal, and the fact that James O'Keefe's criminal, record, if you will, was a trumped-up charge that he was forced to cop a plea to. It's what the government does. They force you to cop a plea, or else they're going to put you through hell.
Yeah, they'll bankrupt you, basically. They'll just use deep pockets to bankrupt you. And Kramer was an actual convicted criminal.
Exactly. So the idea that they are condemning O'Keefe, who's doing the job that we as citizens want exposed, and the media is doing backflips. He just released another video, part 4, showing how this organization accepted foreign money that would ultimately be used to influence a U.S. election. He has exposed the crimes of the collusion between the media and these dark operators that are in direct connection. I mean, this guy, Robert Kramer, who's on a conference call, for Pete's sake, every day getting his marching orders from the Clinton campaign. This guy, Robert Kramer, who went to the White House 340 times, 47 of which were to meet with Barack Obama. This guy, Robert Kramer, who was in direct connection with Barack Obama during the 2007-2008 election cycle. This is exposing what we all knew was there, but we could never find the smoking gun. That's just, the Project Veritas videos. Then you get into the WikiLeaks that shows the collusion between Donna Brazile. I mean, we can spend 5 shows just going through the enumeration of the video of the emails and the revelations of the collusion between the Clinton campaign machine and the media. So when I say the end of the mainstream media, they're having trouble maintaining viewers on cable. More and more people I know are canceling their cable, and they're going to alternative media over the internet, YouTube videos. I have 2 friends that are making tens of thousands of dollars just showing what's airing on the main media because people no longer have their cable connections, and all they're doing is recording these shows and putting them up on YouTube, getting tens of thousands of subscribers and views and comments because people are disgusted with it. Yes, the end of the GOP, that's going to take a little longer. But I think that, the voter, when Donald Trump says that the election is rigged, he's not just talking about what happens in polling places. And now we know exactly, again, from the WikiLeaks and from the James O'Keefe videos and from so much more, we now know about the level of voter fraud that's taking place. We have out here in San Bernardino highly contested elections for the very heart and soul of the process in Sacramento. 2 individuals that if they lose, the Dems in Sacramento, the Marxists in Sacramento get a supermajority to be able to wield whatever taxes there. We know that the registrar of voters in San Bernardino County is dirty because of what they went through in 2014 and 2012 with provisional ballots. It's all over the place. It's systemic. And so all of this stuff is being laid thanks to the wrecking ball called Donald Trump. If anybody has any trouble pulling the trigger for Donald Trump because of the man, vote for Donald Trump because of the issues, the Supreme Court, the media, the voter intimidation, and outright voter fraud that's being exposed. And there's so much more. This guy, Peter Schweitzer, that wrote the book Clinton Cash, he just exposed the level of collusion between the foundation and the Department of Justice, where the Department of Justice was taking money, fines from the banking industry and allowing them to take, $1, they were fined $10, and instead they could pay $1 to these progressive Marxist left-wing causes. I mean, this is astonishing what we're learning.
Yeah, and when we really got to break this all down, and it's because the narrative has been put before us, and I think too many Americans have bought into it, that our system of government in terms of electing and everything else is so pure that the idea of voter fraud is just something that's just it's virtually non-existent. I was just on social media today. I was posting out here what's going on over in the Indiana situation right now. And sure enough, one of these liberal tin hats shows up and makes a statement about, well, you're making a very extraordinary accusation. We need extraordinary evidence. So I send him the evidence. I said, well, this is what the state of Indiana is saying today about what they're finding already. And he comes back and goes, well, that's a few voters, a few problems. I'm saying, what? 837,000 people with bad information? That's more than just a few people, It's just that our American electorate, just like the very thing that has put us in this position, the very same attitude, is that we elect officials and we expect them to go do their job. All of a sudden, we found when Obama came in office, nobody was doing their job. We're electing people because of the letter after their name, R or D. And we're finding out that all of them are in collusion with each other to some degree or another. And like you said, Trump comes along and just busts this whole thing open. And nobody, between the anger and the organizing, we're trying to figure out, okay, which way to go? How do we stop this? How do we stop the bleeding, for crying out loud? That's what we're trying to do right now, is just stop the bleeding. Donald Trump is a Band-Aid, all right, or a tourniquet, all right? But we need something to stop this, to put us in a place where now we can take a deep breath and go, okay, what happened and how do we fix this? The Republican Party doesn't care about fixing it. I'm totally convinced of that. All they care about is preserving their whatever they consider to be power. But I don't think they give a damn one way or the other about whether the Democrats run the country or whether they run it. As long as their positions are preserved and their establishment ties are solid, that's all they care about. I mean, that's where I'm at. Anyway, I got to interrupt you here. We got to go to break. When we come back, we'll continue our discussion here. We are going to get into these clips. We'll do that as soon as we get back. Stay with us right here at the Conservative Syndicate. There is an old saying, children should be seen but not heard. At no time is this more apparent than when politicians speak. TheConservativeSyndicate.net, the adults in the room. Hey folks, if you're like me, you don't place a whole lot of trust in today's media for the real truth and facts regarding the volatile world of finance and politics. When I want the real scoop on money, I go to the most trusted source I know, my good friend and colleague, Bob Cardoso. Bob is a noted expert with a PhD in international finance who airs his nationally known, globally syndicated show, Robert Cardoso Live Daily, Monday through Friday, 3 to 5 p.m. Pacific Time. With Bob, you get the right information at the right time from someone who knows his business and can help you make the right decisions concerning yours. Again, Bob airs daily, Monday through Friday, 3 to 5 p.m. Pacific Time. Visit his website at robertcardosolive.com for information regarding stations and topics. That's robertcardosolive.com. Check Bob out. You'll be glad you did. History affirms a vibrant civil society thrives on freedom of conscience, religion, and choice. Any society absent these qualities stifles individual responsibility and accountability, thus enslaving its people by denying them their potential for goodness, creativity, and altruism. To that extent, oppression, coercion, and totalitarianism are multiplied exponentially. To counter such outcomes, the American Freedom Alliance was formed. The AFA is a nonpartisan, non-aligned movement which promotes, defends, and upholds Western values and ideals. The Alliance strives to build an international coalition of citizens of the West who together promote and protect moral values, democracy, and freedom. To find out more and become part of this valuable asset in the preservation of freedom and all its rewards, contact us at AmericanFreedomAlliance.org. That's AmericanFreedomAlliance.org. Let freedom ring.
Don't get your panties all in a bunch.
The ConservativeSyndicate.net, exposing weapons of mass distraction. Okay, hey, we're back, and you're listening to the Conservative Syndicate, real conservative talk from real conservatives. I'm your host, John Matthews, along with Joe Hakos, and we've got Don Dix doing his weekly segment with us today. And I want to get into back to this discussion. That was very good discussion before the break there, Don. Very enlightening. It gives me something to think about. And other than awesome. The fact that I just wanted to shoot my TV last night, I was listening to Megyn Kelly. I just, I know this woman has been moving into that establishment operative phase, I guess, to make her famous or whatever. And maybe she feels threatened by Rachel Maddow. I don't know what it is, but she certainly has. She said it last night, and we'll hear it in one of the clips here, that she is a protector of women. And when I heard that, I said, there it is. We finally got an admission from the newest of the neo-Nazi feminists out there. Megyn Kelly is a self-ordained patron saint of women, just like Glenn Beck is a patron saint of Israel. That kind of stuff. Anyway, I want to get into these. I want to make one comment though from the last segment. You said something about Trump is a Band-Aid, and this is a really important point because a lot of people will vote on November 8th. Hopefully Donald Trump wins, and then they go back into their cocoon. This is not the time or place to go back into the stands. We need everybody to stay on the playing field because what Donald Trump is going to do is ultimately going to have very little impact right away on us. We need to be vigilant and get the cancer out of our school boards, our city councils, our states, our counties. This stuff goes everywhere. It's not just about D.C. It's not just about the media. It's in our education systems, for Pete's sake. 95% of the people that are professors in disciplines like liberal arts and political science, these people are bad operators. There's enough Marxists still embedded in our college systems
that it doesn't matter what Donald Trump does. If we don't get back our education system, the whole thing's lost anyways. Donald Trump will be a blip on the radar screen. This is a long war. This is a marathon. This is not a sprint. So take a breath after the election and get back to work.
Yeah, not only that, but there is a lame duck session going to come back into Congress there in that month of December, and they're going to do some horrendous things with our fiscal policies, and then we're going to end up paying for a lot of Obama's his last wishes as he leaves office.
Yeah, I agree. It's. I mean, we were talking yesterday. I was talking. Yesterday. Just the idea that, when Trump, we were talking on Monday last week, Trump's 100-day plan, and I'm thinking, he could spend his first term doing nothing but cleaning up all the bureaucracies and all the corruption, the FBI, the State Department, the Attorney General. I totally agree with you, Don. I believe that we need to, within our respective states, do whatever we can. Now, California is definitely pissing into the wind in a lot of ways, trying to figure, get this thing turned around. But we got to start somewhere. We got to go after school boards. We got to go after city councils. Let's do something to get this thing back on the right track. My personal vendetta, and where I'm going after this election is over, I'm going after the church. I'm going after the church full balls to the wall and saying, okay, you guys are so worried about Trump's morality. Where the hell were you back when Bill Clinton was running? Let's get real here. If we're going to talk about morality, let's talk about it. All right, we're going to do that. We're going to do that. So,
where's the church regarding the Christian persecution that's happening not just in the Middle East at the hands of radical Islamists, but right here in this country? We had in California this bizarre Senate bill that would have required Christian universities to essentially turn over the keys to the kingdom to the state. If they're taking state or federal money, they could no longer require people to show up to chapel. They could no longer require Christian studies as a part of their major. They'd have to provide separate dorms and separate the whole agenda would have rolled right into Christian universities. So, the Christian persecution that's happening is happening right under their watch, right in their backyard, and they're not doing anything about it.
And I believe that to a great degree, we have been complicit so long that we are getting what we deserve. This isn't if the church had done its job 40, 50 years ago and started standing against some of this stuff, we wouldn't be facing what we're facing right now. So now, anyway, I want to get into this because I got these clips. I want to make sure everybo's included in the conversation here. The first clip I have here from the Megyn Kelly interview last night with Newt Gingrich is Newt's referral or reference to parallel universes. Okay, they're talking about Kelly is out there trying to allude to the fact that Donald Trump was the wrong nominee for the wrong reasons, and they start this dialogue that goes on about alternate universes. I found it fascinating that Megyn Kelly never picked up on what Newt Gingrich was alluding to. So let's get the first clip out here. Megyn Kelly and Newt Gingrich last night on her show, The Megyn File, or The Kelly File.
Cook and many other nonpartisan independent pollsters now saying that the Senate is likely lost to the Republicans. What does that say? I mean, if Donald Trump loses this White House race and the Republicans lose the Senate, does that suggest that the Republicans nominated the wrong candidate at the top of their ticket?
The next 2 weeks are a contest of two parallel universes. I just listened to that report. First of all, I used to hang out with Charlie Cook when he would explain that Donald Trump was hopeless and would not get the nomination. I like Charlie. That doesn't mean he's infallible. But let's take the report we just got. Republicans are actually outvoting Democrats in Florida. They're outvoting Democrats in Pennsylvania. That's unprecedented. They've cut the Democratic lead.
You predict a win in Pennsylvania?
I think they might.
Really? Do you think Trump's going to win Pennsylvania?
Look, all I can report to you right now is they're outvoting the Democrats in early voting, which is also true in Florida, which is unprecedented.
But all of the polls in Pennsylvania have her winning.
What?
All of the polls in Pennsylvania have her ahead.
I know. I just told you we have two alternative universes right now. In Iowa, for example, the Democrats are 50,000 votes behind where they were with Barack Obama in turnout. The governor is very confident we're going to carry Iowa, which Obama carried last time. I could just carry you through case after case like this. In Minnesota, we're almost certainly going to win the congressional seat up around Duluth, which is a very Democratic area, but it deeply dislikes Hillary Clinton.
Okay, so Gingrich is trying to explain to Kelly, you're getting your stats from one place, and I'm getting them from another. And she just doesn't seem to catch on, and that's what he's saying. And to me, it was so indicative of the fact that what she has, like everybody in the media right now, is that they buy into a narrative that I guess is presented to them from either their editors or wherever it is they get their crap from. And I think in Megyn Kelly's case, the idea that she goes on to later allude to. In fact, I'm just going to play the clip here and save the time talking. This is her coming back on Newt Gingrich and basically just saying everything you're telling me is irrelevant because I have better sources than you. That's kind of like, I'm Megyn Kelly. I'm Megyn Kelly. This is Fox News. Fair and balanced. We got it all together here. So here she is responding, and then Gingrich zings her again.
Say it's two alternate universes. These are sort of small examples of how he might be heading early voting and so on. But I'm telling you that the Fox News decision desk just moved Iowa, that you just mentioned, Indiana, 2nd Congressional District in Maine. All of them moved left, moved more likely to vote for Hillary Clinton. And in fact, all of the moves that have been on this map over the past 3 weeks by Larry Sabato, by Cook, by the Fox News decision desks. These are nonpartisan outlets that are just trying to call the electoral
They're not nonpartisan
scoreboard.
outlets. Every outlet you described as part of the establishment.
Fox News, really? Are we? I don't think so. And
come on.
every state they've moved it to the left, towards Hillary. And you tell me whether that's all made up.
No, I think they're two alternative universes. You have a poll which suggests that she's going to get a Barack Obama turnout among African Americans. I don't think that's going to happen. You have a Washington Post ABC News poll where they took out 8% of the vote because they didn't like the way it voted. Look, I've been around long enough. I remember when the Detroit Liberal newspaper on the Sunday before the election said John Engler would lose by 14 points. He won the governorship that year. Mm-hmm. I don't take polls as seriously as people who've never run for office.
But your candidate,
I can tell you.
Your candidate loves them and has touted them from the beginning. And he's been behind in virtually every one out of the last 40 polls that we've seen over the past month. That's the reality.
Look, if you want to assume the election's over, skip the next 2 weeks.
Yeah, I thought that was a great comeback. If you want to say the election's over, hey, just skip it.
So what Newt Gingrich is doing in his alternative universe is essentially imagine somebody coming to us from heaven, this fourth dimension where time is not relevant anymore, where eternity is just that. It's a continuum, trying to describe what their experience there is versus our experience in this third dimension, in this physical world. You couldn't even begin to contemplate what you're being told. This is exactly what's happening. There is this alternative universe. And yes, he's astute. In fact, you're astute for really picking up on this because I heard it, I agreed with it, but I didn't really get the gravity of what it was that Newt Gingrich was trying to help her to understand. This is Megyn Kelly and Fox News trying to insert themselves into the process rather than reporting the process. Rather than having somebody out there where Newt's getting his information from, which is exactly the same thing I've heard from a congressman from Texas who's out here in California working on a campaign. He said his early indication in his home district in Texas, they had a line that was 4 blocks long in early voting. Never, ever happened. And this is a heavily Republican district. So what we're beginning to see are indications that our hope of an upset for Donald Trump might just be, coming to life. Because you and I both know that a Hillary Clinton presidency means we don't just double down in the work that we're doing. It's pedal to the metal to try to stop whatever she's doing.
The way I've looked at this, I like the way you the analogy gave. The way I looked at it was, it's like somebody who is completely blind from birth, and you ask them to describe the color red.
Yeah.
Yeah, and that's what it is. She just completely, it just went over her head. She was so into making sure that everybody understood that she was the authority here, that her sources were the sources. And I guess Newt just didn't line up with the fact that, hey, he's just supposed to echo what she was saying, which is why she probably doesn't have him on that much. He's more on Hannity than her. She has all her little operatives out there also. We got to go to a quick break. We'll be right back. Stay with us.
Ever wonder how the credit card companies make their money? Well, think about this. If you owe $25,000 on 5 different credit cards and you make your minimum payments every month, here's what it's going to cost you. Are you sitting down? You'll shell out over $13,000 in additional interest, and it's going to take over 13 years to pay off your original $25,000 balance. That's how they make money. Now it's your turn to fight back by calling the Debt Solutions Network. We'll work on your behalf to reduce your debt. We specialize in credit cards, retail store cards, and medical bills. We promise we can and will reduce your debt. Call right now for a free 15-minute debt analysis. 800-709-4392. 800-709-4392. 800-709-4392. 800-709-4392.
Extend your life with Extendovite. When I had a heart attack at 42, I was not sure what the future held. But a year later, the doctors could find nothing wrong with me and took me off all my medication. What did I do? I took a herbal mixture of garlic, cayenne, and a few other herbs mixed in liquid form. I now call this Extendovite. I would have never believed that a few simple herbs could actually change my life like they did. Now it's your turn to see what the powers of garlic and cayenne can do for you. For only $69.95 plus shipping and handling for a 2-month supply of either capsules or liquid, you too can begin on your path to better health. For more information, call 1-877-928-8822. That's 1-877-928-8822. Or visit our website at heartdrop.com.
Extend your life with Extendovite.
I've owned my company for 14 years now, and I can tell you that payroll is a 4-letter word. I hate doing it. It eats up hours I don't have, and it costs me money I could be saving. But my accountant's too expensive, and I'm not sure who to call, but I know I need help.
We're Paychex, and we take all the hassles out of small business payroll. We save you time and money. It's easy. Call, fax, or give us your payroll information securely online, and we take care of the rest. We calculate the correct taxes, manage payments and direct deposits. We even send out your checks. Payroll doesn't need to be a 4-letter word anymore. We're so sure that we can save you time and money that we'll give you a month's payroll free. Just for calling 877-663-3830. Get 1 month's payroll for free. Call Paychex right now. 877-663-3830. That's 877-663-3830.
Hey, I don't back anybody unless I believe in them. And I do believe in the value of investing in gold and silver. And the company I trust to buy my gold and silver from is Swiss America. I've been working with them for nearly a decade. I trust them, and you can too. Swiss America will help you sort through and find the best options available when you're considering investing in gold and silver coins. Listen, for over 30 years, Swiss America has been offering Americans what they want in their investments: safety, liquidity, quality, reliability, and a potential profit. Gold and silver have a place in every investor's portfolio. So, why not let Swiss America help you diversify your investment portfolio now? Call now for free information. 800-978-3907. 800-978-3907. 800-978-3907. 800-978-3907.
If you've got joint pain, let me ask you a question. Would you like a high-quality knee, back, shoulder, or ankle brace at little or no cost? Now, just in case your reception isn't great, let me ask you again. Would you like a pain-relieving knee, back, shoulder, or ankle brace at little or no cost? Well, if you have Medicare insurance, you could qualify for these pain-relieving braces at little or no cost. And these are high-quality braces. They are very comfortable, and they've helped thousands relieve their pain. Now, I'd like you to imagine going on vacation, playing with your grandkids, just living your life again without pain. The Mobility Hotline is a referral service that connects folks with Medicare coverage and other insurance to accredited companies offering pain-relieving braces at little or no cost. And don't you worry about the Medicare paperwork. They'll handle it all for you. And they'll deliver your braces for free. Call the Mobility Hotline now. The call's free. 1-800-557-6150. 1-800-557-6150. 1-800-557-6150.
Don't get your panties all in a bunch.
The Conservative Syndicate.net, exposing weapons of mass distraction. All right, hey, we're back. The Conservative Syndicate, real conservative talk from real conservatives. I am your host, John Matthews, along with Joe Hakos. We've got Don Dix with us doing his weekly segment here, and I want to get right back into these clips with Kelly. I've got a few more to play here, and I want to make sure we have as much time as we can to talk about them. This is where things kind of start getting nasty. I guess Megyn didn't like the idea that she was being dressed down and challenged, especially her sources, because we know Fox News. One thing I thought I was hoping Newt would bring up, it was Fox News who called the election wrong back in 2000. That set the whole Chad thing into motion. They were the ones that called the election and then had to retract. And so I thought somebody should have remembered that, but I guess, it is what it is. Anyway, the gloves come off here. This is where it starts to get really nasty. We start to see and hear what I believe to be is the real Megyn Kelly.
Let's assume she is corrupt, right? She was just as corrupt 3 weeks ago and 3 months ago, and she would have been corrupt and collapsing physically on September 11th of this year, and her poll numbers tanked. But then you know what happened. He had a rough first debate. He took the bait on Alicia Machado. He stayed in that trap for a week. The Access Hollywood tape came out, which was not produced by Hillary Clinton. That was Trump on camera talking about grabbing women.
Look, I just heard you go through this with Governor Pence. I get it. I know where you're coming from. But let me point out something to you.
Sure.
The three major networks spent 23 minutes attacking Donald Trump that night and 57 seconds on Hillary Clinton's secret speeches. You don't think this is a scale of bias worthy of Pravda and Izvestia? I mean, you want to know why Donald Trump's had a rough time?
If Trump is a sexual predator, that is...
He's not a sexual predator.
Okay,
you
that's
can't
your
say
opinion.
That.
I'm not taking a position
defend
on
that
it.
statement.
I'm
sick and tired of people like you using language that's inflammatory that's not true.
Excuse me, Mr. Speaker.
Donald
you have
Trump
no idea whether it's true or not. What we know is that there are at least...
Neither do you.
That's right, and I'm not taking a position on it, unlike
yes, you are. When you use the words, you took a position.
So what
I think
I
it's
said
very unfair of you to do that, Megyn.
Incorrect.
I think that is exactly the bias people are upset by.
I think that your defensiveness on this may speak volumes, sir.
I sure wish Donald Trump would have had Newt Gingrich debate for him.
Newt would have cleaned up the floor.
Gingrich, every time I've seen him face off with somebody, whether it be in a debate or a confrontation like this, he just waxes his opponent. The guy is just so astute on how to present an argument narrative. I'm just wondering, if I was Donald Trump, you've got to fit Gingrich somewhere in your cabinet there. What do you think, Don?
Well, see, this is what the media does, and you can hear the mainstream media do it all the time, and it's disappointing that Megyn fell into it. The public never hears the word "if." They never hear the sort of that setup that if XYZ, then ABC. All they hear is XYZ, and this is what the mainstream media does all the time. They put a proposition out there. Let's assume that Donald Trump is a sexual predator. If Donald Trump is a sexual predator, if this, if that, and sometimes they're pretty blatant about it. They just call it, they just say it. But the public never hears the word if. The residue of the spoken word is the descriptor, not the qualifier. So, this is how indoctrination happens, because they set this proposition up and people never hear it as a proposition. They hear it as a fact. and that's true for the bulk of Americans who are, headline driven, who are busy working, who are busy raising families, who are busy not digging into the depths of these topics like we do. Mm-hmm. They hear the proposition and not the qualifier. Right. And that's it's really disappointing for her to have used that word, knowing full well the power that the proposition has and how people ignore the qualifier.
Oh yeah, another example of that is that when the Democrats wanted to play down and discredit the hacking of the DNC servers over there at the DNC, they started out with this idea, well, we don't know. It started out with, we don't know who was responsible for the hack, to we think it may have been the Russians, to we're pretty sure it's the Russians, to we've got 17 intelligence agencies that have said that they believe that it's the Russians, to it is the Russians. Like everything else they do progressively, they start out with an assumption or an implication or an innuendo, and then they just repeat it enough to the point where the public accepts it, and so it's nothing to come out and say, well, the Russians hacked us. And that's why nothing's invalid on the emails that you're seeing out here. They were stolen from us, therefore they're invalid. Everybody's just hearing, oh, now it's the Russians are coming. And there's still, to this day, no proof. And then nobody talks about the fact that James Clapper spoke for 16 of those intelligence agencies. We're not hearing that. All we hear is, these people collectively have said, yeah, it's got to be the Russians. We still, to this day, don't know whether it's the Russians or not. You were going to say something, Joe?
It's an old lawyer's trick that they do. If that would have happened in court, then the judge would have instructed the jury to pretend they never heard it.
Yeah, okay.
So that's what they do there.
Yeah, I want to get this last clip. I'm going to play the last one. I had two more, but I got the last one here because this, to me, is just a great send-off. This is Gingrich coming back on the sexual predator allegations by Megyn Kelly.
And do you want to comment on whether the Clinton? Do you want to comment on whether the Clinton ticket has a relationship to a sexual predator?
We, on the Kelly file, have covered that story as well, sir. I will tell you the polls. I just want to hear you use
the words. I want to hear you use words, Bill Clinton, sexual predator. I dare you. Say Bill Clinton, sexual predator.
Mr. Speaker,
disbarred by the Arkansas bar. Disbarred by the Arkansas bar. $850,000 penalty.
Excuse me, sir. We on the Kelly file have covered the Clinton matter as well. We've hosted Kathleen Willey. We've covered the examples of him being accused as well, but he's not on the ticket. And the polls also show that the American public is less interested in the deeds of Hillary Clinton's husband than they are in the deeds of the man who asks us to make him president, Donald Trump. We're going to have to leave it at that, and you can take your anger issues and spend some time working on them, Mr. Speaker. Thanks for being here.
And you too.
Yeah, it was actually a pretty good. It was actually a pretty good comeback from Megyn, but Newt, he didn't let it go unanswered. They both have anger issues, but I think Newt's is a little bit more legitimate than Megyn Kelly, who's just the self-ordained protector of women. Okay, all right. Listen, we're out of time here, guys. You guys want to check out Don's website? I went a little bit over here, actforamerica.org, and a great think tank here. And Don does his show out there at The Answer, 590 out there in the Inland Valley. Sorry, I can't give you a few more plugs here, Don, but we're really out of time here.
Thanks for letting me be with you.
Oh, yeah. Well, it's always a pleasure to have you on. And okay, guys, it's time to shut up for the night here. Or shut down. I don't want to say shut up. I should say shut down for the night here. We want to encourage you to visit our website, theconservativesyndicate.net. You can pick up the archive of this show, any of our shows, find out about the people that contribute on our show, and everything else that we do, why we do it, and who we do it for, which is you, our listening audience. So we'll talk to you tomorrow. We're going to continue on some of this, but we're going to get into some other stuff a little bit deeper here. We're getting close to the election. God bless you all, and we'll talk to you tomorrow. Thanks for tuning in to this edition of the Conservative Syndicate, the nationally acclaimed, globally syndicated, politically incorrect talk show that seeks to tear down the imaginary wall of separation between church and state. We want to make you aware you can find and access all our show archives at our website, theconservativesyndicate.net, as well as our broadcast stations and times. That's theconservativesyndicate.net. We so appreciate you taking the time to tune in, and we so look forward to continuing to bring you the best in uncompromised talk radio available on the net today. And remember, folks, it doesn't matter how many times you get knocked down in life. It only matters how many times you get up. I'm John Matthews, along with Joe Hayko, signing off until next time right here at the Conservative Syndicate. God bless you, and may God continue to bless America.